Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 5th of March and welcome to the newspaper analysis. So guys, let's start with the today's newspaper analysis. So in the today's video, we will be taking up the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper and we'll take if there are some relevant articles in the Indian Express explained section. And before starting up, we will be taking up the overview of the entire newspaper to see that which articles will be important and the explainer PDF that I will be using to explain you can download from the Telegram channel. Fine, you can find the link of the Telegram channel in the description box. First of all, let's see the Indian Express explained page. So here we can see that the first article is talking about the OBC vote in the Uttar Pradesh. Okay, so basically the OBC voters find how the non-Yadav OBCs and all such kind of things, how the different political parties are putting their stakes. Fine, so such kind of thing has been discussed. Now with respect to the examination, much of important things are not there in this particular article. Then when states block CBI from probing cases, and below the article how closure of Russian airspace has impacted the flights. Now again, the articles are not important, academic substance is not given in the into these particular articles, so please avoid reading it, nothing important. Moving to the Hindu. Now guys, today is a Saturday, so on the Saturday the text and the context section it doesn't comes, which contains some of very good articles, so we will not be having the text and context today, so we'll be starting directly from the page number 1 of the Hindu newspaper. So the halt hostilities for evacuation, India urges the Russia and Ukraine. So guys, the India is asking that at least a local ceasefire should be announced so that a safe passage for the evacuation of the Indian students and other people can be carried. But in this particular capacity, though Russia has given an assurance, but on ground nothing concrete is coming, and still there are large number of people who are trapped there. Fine. Then the side article, this one talking about that India abstains again in the UN vote. So there here now the United Nation Human Rights Council is discussed. Fine. So we'll discuss this particular article. Then guys, further moving on. Then the other articles not important with respect to the examination. Ruckus in Haryana Assembly as government tables anti-conversion bill. So now we see that the different governments, they all are coming with, and they are all are creating this particular anti-conversion law where they say that the forceful conversions will be punishable. However, it has been seen that many a times in the name of forceful, basically many a times this just in the excuse of forceful conversions, even the legitimate conversions where the people want to get married, they are being punished. Clear. So such kind of things have basically invited the mixed kind of responses. But the ruckus going on, what different person is saying, legislator is saying, you don't need to see it. Then moving to the next city section. So guys, into the city section, the regional news, fine, etc. have been given, nothing important in this particular direction is given. Moving on guys, into the still the advertisements, etc. they are fulfilled. Now the Noku Koli is mentioned here. Fine, we'll discuss that what this Noku Koli is all about. Fine. Then a new gin berry species discovered in Tamil Nadu. So guys, see these plant species, okay, every year hundreds and hundreds of species are being discovered. Clear. You first of all, we have an idea that whenever a new species, whenever a new basically a new kind of a plant or animal is or basically let's say a bacteria or a butterfly is being mentioned, it is important. No, all the time it is not important. When there will be a specific relevance of that particular species, only then it is important. Clear. So please keep this particular thing in your mind. Then continuing the political, regional political news, fine, issues have been discussed. Okay, after that we'll reach to the editorial page. Now the first article talks about the Russia war, the impracticality of the violence. So the Gandhian view on the violence, non-violence will be seen here. Then further moving on, the new handbook covering the UP elections, not important article. Then guys, the being ready. So this particular article talks again, it is talking about the vaccination. So how the vaccination has reduced the severity of the cases and how the focus on vaccination should continue. Clear, because the vaccination will be only the key in preventing the next wave of the COVID-19. Such kind of idea is being given. Now after every 15-20 days the Hindu publishes one such kind of article where it talks about the vaccination. Clear. Then the capital verdict. So this article it talks about the recent decision by the Andhra Pradesh High Court with respect to the capital issue. Already we discussed it yesterday. One more important aspect today we will also be going to discuss. Then is a Telugu cinema set for the change of scene. So today is a Saturday. On Saturday this ground zero report picks some issue from the ground and reports on that. Now nothing important with respect to the exam is given in this particular article. Then further moving on, open helplines for kin of Indian nationals. The Supreme court. So basically large number of people, already I have told you, and you also know that they are trapped into the Ukraine. So basically they are facing large number of problems there. The supplies are in short, fine, they don't have any clue that how to leave the country. So for them the helplines is to be opened up. So just kind of a thing, nothing important with respect to the examination. Fine. Then COVID-19 makes Kolkata book fair, makes its presence felt there. Okay, and all these issues. Then this assembly polls page is given. Fine, avoid it. Political news. Then further moving on, guys, after that the other regional issues etc, fine, have been provided. Policy matters are not there. Clear. Then guys, further moving on, Russia seizes Europe's largest nuclear plant. Now guys, see, when basically here we can see that the Russia has captured the nuclear plant into the Ukraine, and this particular thing might have a large number of implications. The implications being this thing, that as it is the largest nuclear plant, disrupting this particular thing might cause the problems with respect to the energy supply. Is it clear? Secondly, this particular nuclear plant might become a kind of a big weapon in itself, and if any particular kind of a mishandling is done, it can create a big catastrophe. Clear. So this basically moreover, it has been provided that as of now the elevated sign of radiation has not been seen. However guys, that few days back, when in the Chernobyl, when the Russia basically took over the Chernobyl, then it was seen that in Chernobyl the radiation levels were high, but here up till now such kind of thing is not there. Clear. Then guys, after that the continuing this particular Russia Ukraine issue is there. Then geopolitical events have added to challenges for central banks. We'll see this article, what is the problem. Then guys, the chip shortage will be worsened because of this Russia Ukraine crisis. We'll see this particular article. Then guys, further moving on, data protection bill may hit the FDI. How data protection bill will hit the FDI, we'll see this article. And after that we have the sports page. Clear. And guys, here you can see that there is the unfortunate demise of the Shane Warne, the legendary cricketer. Clear. So this is also an unfortunate event that has happened. Now that is all about the important overview of the articles, and now let's take all these articles one by one in the detail. Now starting up, so let's start with the GS quote as we do in every class. Okay, meanwhile, good morning Deepashri, Pallavi, Nandan, Kalyani, good morning to everyone. Now starting up with the quote for today. So today we'll be taking the quote from the Leo Tolstoy. Okay, Leo Tolstoy, the one who had inspired the Gandhian thought. Fine, the Russian writer. Okay, now the Leo Tolstoy says that the wrong does not ceases to be wrong because the majority shares in it. Is it clear? Fine, the wrong does not ceases to be wrong because the majority shares in it, and at the same time the right cannot be the wrong because at the same times the right, what is right, it cannot be wrong because the majority disproves it. Is it clear? So therefore basically the people, at times, many a times the situation will come that the majority believes in one particular viewpoint, and at the same time that particular viewpoint might have some of the fallacies. So it is a role of some enlightened few people who might be into the minority, that they have to raise voices against such kind of thing. So this is all about the quote for today. You can use this particular quote in GS paper number 4. You can use this particular quote in GS paper number 4, ethics. Now moving on. So first of all, MCQ answers for the yesterday. So the yesterday question number 1, correct answer is C, and the question number 2, correct answer is D. You can just pause the video and can read about the description. Okay, and now taking up the MCQs for today. So the question number 1, it is about the National Commission for the Protection of the Child Rights, NCPCR. Clear. So guys, the NCPCR, fine, it happens to be a very important body for the children and their protection of their rights. Please read the statement and identify the correct option. Okay, you can pause the video, can see this particular question and can answer it. And very importantly guys, all of you who are answering, keep it up, maintain the tempo. It is a very good habit. Okay, sparing just 30 seconds will help you. Then question number 2. Okay, so this particular statements, okay, now basically this particular article talks about the basically constitutional provisions. So please read the option, read the statements, and then identify the correct option. Okay, and this entire PDF also you can download from the Telegram channel. Now moving on, let's take the first article. So the first article has been taken from the Hindu newspaper. India abstains again in the UN vote. So this particular article actually is one which will be important for our GS paper number 2, India's foreign policy. India's foreign policy we can see from this particular thing. Now first of all guys, before going in this particular article, let's see the background that is there. Okay, background. So the background is like this, that we now see that the Russia had invaded on the Ukraine, and as Russia has invaded onto the Ukraine, there are the resolutions that are being passed across the United Nations, different organs, where the Russia is being condemned for this particular aggression, and a united front is being developed against the Russia. This particular thing is going on. Now first of all, the resolution was moved into the United Nations Security Council. Now guys, in UNSC the veto power is there with the Russia, so obviously in UNSC nothing will be coming. Is it clear? Moreover, then after that what will happen? The United Nations General Assembly, the resolution was moved. Now in the United Nations General Assembly, large number of countries have actually supported that yes, Russia is an aggressor. But actually if we talk about the India situation, India both, even when the UNSC was concerned and when the UNGA was concerned, India abstained from voting. Neither India said that Russia is an aggressor, nor India said that the Russia is not an aggressor. India just abstained the vote, and by abstaining, India is choosing to take the path of diplomacy. India says that even if we say Russia being an aggressor, it will embolden the West, and then the West might be doing something, might be committing even more violence. And if we say that Russia is not an aggressor, Russia will feel sympathized, and Russia will feel that it is right whatever it is doing. So India has abstained. Clear? And this is moreover guys, if you have read the newspaper regularly, what happened actually, the Minister of External Affairs Mr. Jaishankar in 2020 had said that now India is moving in the direction of strategic autonomy. We will choose what has to be done based on our own interests, of our own national interests. So as a part of strategic autonomy also, we can see that the India is neither getting pressurized by the West, nor it is getting pressurized by the Russia, and it is taking its own independent foreign policy, that is, it is abstaining. Some people say that it is wrong also. They say that India being a responsible power needs to have a very clear stand. So all the opinion views are there. Now guys, a third, now there is one more resolution that has been moved. Now it is into the United Nations Human Rights Council, and here also India has abstained. Fine. So in Human Rights Council also India has abstained. So let's discuss little bit about the Human Rights Council, because this thing can also be asked in your prelims examination. So when we talk about the Human Rights Council, it is an intergovernmental body within the United Nations system, and it is responsible for strengthening the human right protection around the world. Now this Human Rights Council, it was created in 2006 after the resolution of the United Nations General Assembly. Before 2006 actually, there was the United Nations Commission on Human Rights. Before 2006 there was the United Nations Commission for Human Rights. It was replaced by the Human Rights Council. Is it clear? Now there is also the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, which serves as the secretariat of the Human Rights Council. Is it clear? And it is headquartered into the Geneva, Switzerland. It is headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland. So this is the some information about it. Now guys, when we talk about the members of the United Nations Human Rights Council, it has the 47 members. And these 47 members are elected by the United Nations General Assembly. Now the seats have been given region wise. In total 47 members are there. Now while choosing these 47 members, the UNGA members takes in account the track record of the countries which are being chosen as member, whether they themselves have promoted the human rights or not, whether they have protected the human dignities, whether they are fulfilling the commitments for providing basic rights. So such kind of track record is seen. Now when we talk about guys the Human Rights Council, India has recently been re-elected as the UN Human Rights Council member. Clear? And the 3-year term of India has started from January 1, 2022. In 2021, fine, it was re-elected. So India is also a member out of these 47, and India has abstained on this particular voting, and India says that we want to keep the path of diplomacy open, and because of that particular thing only, we are not taking any side here. So this is all guys about this particular thing, fine. And this concept of strategic autonomy happens to be very important nowadays. Clear? What strategic autonomy is? Strategic autonomy means that India will not be bound by any camp, will not be bound by any grouping. India will choose what is to be done, what is not to be done, based on its own national interest. Clear? So this is something that is coming. Now moving to the next article. Clear? So this particular article we have taken from the regional section, and here the practice of Noku Koli is actually mentioned. Now this Noku Koli, this particular thing has come in news, and what this particular practice is all about, we will be discussing a little bit about it, and it will be important with respect to the GS paper number 1, GS paper number 1 social issues, as well as in GS paper number 3 also with respect to the ease of doing business. This particular thing will be very important. Now guys, this Noku Kuli, basically it is a practice where there will be a person who will just be overlooking the work that is being done, and he will ask some of the wages just for looking over the work. It is also called as the gawking charges. It is also called as the gawking. Now gawking means just to look on something. Fine. Now basically what happens, there are the head load workers. Let's say that this is you. Let's say that this is you, and you want to carry the shifting of your house. You want to shift your house. So as you have to shift your house, you will be calling certain people that they will basically they will load your household items on this particular truck. Okay, now let's say there are certain people who are doing this particular work. They are loading your items on the truck. There will be one more person who will just be looking this particular work. Is it clear? And for this particular thing, he will be charging some money, and it is called as the Noku Koli. Clear? Sometimes the person he himself is doing the work, then it is justified. In the past, sometimes it was just for making arrangement that okay, everything is being done in a right manner. The Noku Koli was justified sometimes, but now there is a problem that has come. See, basically these head load workers, now they are actually asking money even from the construction sites where actually the machines are moving the heavy objects. Machine is doing a work, fine. There is, let's say, a machine is doing a work, a bulldozer is doing a work on construction sites, there is some mechanized work is doing on. So they are looking on that particular work, and still they're asking the money for that particular thing. Is it clear? Now guys, this one particular very popular incident happened last year also. There was an ISRO truck. There was a truck of ISRO. Fine. Now that ISRO's truck was carrying certain equipment, that truck was stopped there, and 10 lakh rupees were asked from this particular truck also. Clear? Because there was some loading and unloading that was to be done. Now in this loading and unloading, there was no manual labor that was to be done. Okay, it was done by the machines, but just to look onto those machines, so much money was asked. And this particular practice has actually now become more of an extortionary practice, and because of this extortionary practice that is going on, the industries, they feel that it is not a good thing. Now this particular practice has banned. Okay, actually for basically 5 years back, 4 years back, it has been banned, but up till now it is being carried, and it has been provided that it remains unchecked into the cozy code. Now the chief minister of Kerala also had expressed the concern on such kind of things, and it has been said that if such practice will be there, obviously it will not give the good hints for the sentiment, it will not provide the positive industry sentiment, so it should be discontinued. Clear? So this is this entire issue. I hope you understood it. Now we'll move to the next article. Data protection bill may hit FDI, industry bodies. Okay, so guys, multiple times I have provided you the background. I'll provide it again, and then we'll understand this particular article. Meanwhile, this particular article will be important with respect to the GS paper number 2, fundamental rights, as well as GS paper number 3, issues related to the Indian economy. This particular article will be important. Now let's understand that what is going on here. So basically, in the Puttaswamy case, fine, Supreme Court recognized this particular thing, that the privacy is a fundamental right. Privacy is a fundamental right. And because the privacy is fundamental right, the state needs to secure the privacy of citizens both in the physical as well as digital space. In physical and as well as digital space. Now government, because privacy was recognized as fundamental right, started to design the data privacy bill. Clear? In this particular capacity, B.N. Shri Krishna Committee was constituted. B.N. Shri Krishna Committee was constituted, which suggested that we need to come out with the data protection bill, and then the government introduced it into the parliament, and a joint parliamentary committee also worked on that particular bill. Is it clear? Now, the bill's final draft got presented. Clear? Now, in this particular bill, the personal data as well as the non-personal data both are being discussed. What is the personal data? Personal data is the data which has your credentials attached to it. For example, on your Facebook, your date of birth, your photos, clear, where you have went to for the dinner few days back, all these particular things, this is your personal data because it is attached to your identity. Then there is a non-personal data. Non-personal data, it is such kind of a data which is not attached to any person's identity. For example, the traffic that is there in the peak hours on a particular road, this data is a non-personal data. Climate data, this is a non-personal data, not attached to any one person. Sometimes the personal data can be converted in non-personal data by anonymizing the data. Anonymizing data is removing the credentials, the personal informations, and then we can create a personal data also in a non-personal data through the process of anonymization. Now, basically, this new data protection bill that is coming, it has certain provisions by which the foreign companies, okay, they might not carry the FDI in India. What are the problems? First of all, even the non-personal data has been included. Now it was believed, it was said that non-personal data should not have been included because in non-personal data nobody's privacy will be breached. Clear? So traffic data, climate data, data with respect to the disease prevalence, and all such kind of non-personal data, fine, on this particular thing many products are being designed. Now if such kind of data is to be used, approval from the government is to be taken. So this particular thing will make the process more complicated. Then restriction on the cross-border data transfer and the data localization. Now basically guys, today we see, for example, there is Amazon. Now on the Amazon you have put a lot of your information, your age, your date of birth, your name, your gender, you have put your card details. Now where this particular information is actually stored, this particular information guys, it is stored at the servers which are located not in India but outside the India. Large number of companies who are doing business in India, the foreign based MNCs, they are collecting the data of Indians and storing that particular data in the servers located somewhere else. Now in this particular direction guys, first of all, the Reserve Bank of India said that the data localization norm is to be mandatorily followed. What is this data localization? Whatever the data is being generated from India, it should be located on the servers located within India. That servers should be located within India. You cannot take that particular data outside. Clear? And if any copy of data is to be taken, then there is to be permission that is to be taken. Fine. Now all these particular things, it is being said that it will make doing business in India difficult. A lot of cost are to be incurred if these new servers are to be installed in India. Moreover, they say that it might also degrade the privacy and the cyber security protection. According to them, in India many times the privacy laws, though they are there, but they are not that much strong as they are there in other countries such as the Europe. Moreover, it is being said that the cyber security also is a problem because out where they are having their servers based, they have done all the infrastructural arrangement, but in India now from the scratch the new infrastructure is to be made, and till then that particular time the data that will be stored, it will be prone to some kind of a cyber abuse. Moreover, there were other kind of a cost related measures that will also come. Now guys, if we talk about these data servers, they need a lot of cooling. India is a tropical country and cooling will lead to a lot of electricity expenditure. In the Scandinavian countries or the countries where the temperatures are naturally low, they are storing this, but having this particular data centers will reduce their cooling expenditure. So many expenditure related issues are also there. So because of this particular thing, the FDI will get impacted. So this is all about this particular article guys, and now we'll move to the next article. I hope that all the implications you have understood. Fine, now we'll move to the next article. Capital verdict. Now guys, this particular article is talking about the Andhra Pradesh capital issue. By the way, yesterday, that is on the 4th of March, I have discussed this entire issue from the scratch. Already I have discussed, clear. But just in a brief, one or two more good points have come that we will be taking it up. Okay, just anyhow, even if you have seen, let's revise. Even if you have not seen, then just be very careful. What had happened actually in the Andhra, you know that in 2014, the Telangana was carved out of the Andhra Pradesh. Telangana was carved out of Andhra Pradesh. Now the city of Hyderabad, okay, there were the two options. Either the Hyderabad can be made as a joint capital, as Chandigarh is a joint capital between the Punjab and Haryana, but that particular thing was was ruled out because there have been lot of disputes between the Punjab and Haryana onto the Chandigarh capital. So therefore, it has been provided that no, we will not be going for a common capital, and at the last, the Hyderabad was given to the Telangana. Hyderabad was given to the Telangana. Now Andhra Pradesh needed a new capital. Okay, and what will be the new capital? So in 2014, the proposal was made that there will be the Amravati. Okay, Amravati, that will be a new city that will be developed, and this Amravati, a new city, it will be the capital for the Andhra Pradesh. Clear? Now this particular work continued from 2014 to 2019. The government, they asked the farmers a lot of land. 33,000 acres of land was taken from the farmers for developing of this particular new city. Farmers, when they given the land, they were assured that in this newly developed city, they will be given the commercial land, they will be given the residential plots. All this particular thing happened. However, guys, when the government got changed into the Andhra Pradesh and the new chief minister, Mr. Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy, he came out with the new idea. He said the idea of he came out with the idea of the decentralized development. Now, the idea of this decentralized development was this, that rather than having a one capital of Amravati, we should spread the capitals across the state, and we should have three capitals. He came out with the idea that the Amravati will not be the full-fledged sole capital, rather the Amravati will be the legislative capital. Clear? Then Vishakhapatnam was said to be the executive capital, and the Kurnool was supposed to be the judicial capital. There will be the high court that will be situated. So the legislative, executive, and the judicial capitals were different. Kurnool will be judicial, Vishakhapatnam will be executive, and the Amravati will be legislative. This particular thing happened, and for this particular thing, a decentralization bill was also introduced. Fine, in the Andhra Pradesh. Okay. Now, as this particular thing came, the farmers, they started a movement and they approached the High Court. They said that why our land was taken if it was not to be developed as a capital. Okay. Now the what happened? They said that the Amravati's status has been relegated. Clear? So therefore this particular thing was not liked. Now guys, as this particular pressure was coming, Andhra Pradesh government itself dropped or repealed that particular decentralization bill, but it was, the speculation were still strong that still the government might go forward with the idea of the three capitals. Is it clear? Now, in this particular capacity, the Andhra Pradesh High Court has now given its verdict. Andhra Pradesh High Court has given its verdict. And as per this Andhra Pradesh High Court verdict, they had said that the state government here does not have the power to bifurcate, trifurcate, or to move the capital to another city. They had to make sure that the Amravati is being developed as a capital. Now, before this Andhra Pradesh High Court, earlier this particular matter was also came in a political discussion. Now, at that point of a time, the question was this: can the central government interfere in this particular matter, that where the capital will be located? And that time, it was made very clear that no, central government will not interfere in this matter. It is the matter solely that is to be decided by the state government, that where the capital will be located. And the state government said that okay, we will have the three capitals. Now, for that particular thing, Andhra Pradesh High Court said that no, you have to develop Amravati as a capital because that was the original promise that was made in 2014. Now, this particular this particular judgment is a welcome step on one thing. What? Here the judgment is based on the doctrine of a constitutional trust and the promissory estoppel. Promissory estoppel. Now, what is this constitutional trust? See, in 2014, the the government. Now government, it is holding a constitutional position. Chief minister is a constitutional functionary. So a constitutional functionary, a constitutionally elected government made a promise to the people that we will develop the Amaravati as a city and you give their land. There was obviously, let's say, not, there might not even be, let's say, a legal assurance, but on the basis of the constitutional trust, people believed the government. But now going back will breach this constitutional trust, which is not a good thing. Then promissory estoppel, is it clear or not? What you have done earlier, you cannot go back on that particular thing. So this particular thing is, guys, very important message. It sends a message that once a promise has been made, you have to stand on that promise and you cannot twist back on your promise because of the political winds if they are changing. Clear? So such kind of thing cannot be done. This is, guys, the entire issue that has come here. I hope that you have understood it. So with respect to the GS paper number 2, there could be the academic implications of it. Now moving to the next article. Russia's war, the impracticality of violence. Okay, now guys, this particular article, it is providing the Gandhian view that why Gandhi, that as how Gandhiji had always opposed the violence, and basically how if the nation are also choosing the violence into the long term, they are choosing the path of morality. So let's start with this particular article. Now guys, this particular article can be used in GS paper number 4, ethics of war. GS paper number 4, ethics of war. Okay, it is, there is actually the topic number 6. Within the topic number 6, ethics of international relation is mentioned, and there we can use this particular topic. Now moving on. Now, so basically the Russia already, it had carried an invasion onto the Ukraine, and because of this particular thing, Russia has actually become isolated from the global community. Now there is most of the world countries, they are condemning the Russia. India has been caught in a hard place. What India should do? On one hand, there are the Pakistan, China, which are the hostile neighbors of India, and in order to prevent the Pakistan and China, India needs the support of Russia. Russia is a strong partner of India and provides a lot of weaponry to the Russia, to the India. Moreover, at the same time, India needs the USA also, because in the quadrilateral security dialogue, USA is the key partner, and the quadrilateral security dialogue is actually fixated against the China. So there USA is needed, otherwise the Russia is also needed. India is in a hard choice, what is to be done, what is not to be done. Now it has been provided that actually, see, India should never accept the violence. Clear? No matter how just the cause is, India should never accept the violence. India is the land of the Gandhiji. Gandhiji, the father of a nation. Clear? He had said that an eye for an eye will make the whole world blind. Clear? So violence can never be a solution. Even Gandhiji said this particular thing, where that what difference it makes to the homeless, poor and dead, that whether the war was fought in the name of totalitarianism or whether it was fought in the holy name of democracy. The people who have dead, they are dead. No difference will be made to them. So Gandhiji said that violence can never be justified. Even Gandhiji called off the civil disobedience movement when it turned violent. Is it clear? So Gandhiji said that the non-violence is not only a moral principle in the fight of justice. Clear? Rather, it happens to be the only way. Is it clear? So when basically when you are fighting even for, let's say, international aggression, violence can never be a solution. Even when the internal conflicts are there, clear, when internal injustices are to be corrected, then also the violence can never be the option. Now Gandhiji's prescription that the violence cannot be an option has been followed in many of the notable movements. Fine, for example, the civil rights movement of the USA, civil right movements of the USA, which asked the equal rights for all the type of people. There also it was based on the Gandhian idea of non-violence. Martin Luther King Jr. particularly had a very much firm believer of the non-violence. Is it clear? Even when the uprisings against the communist regimes into the Eastern Europe, it was started, non-violence was a theme. Even in the anti-apartheid struggle in the South Africa, apartheid is the discrimination on basis of color. Anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa, it was also based on the non-violence, and actually these all movements received the support from the entire world. Now, basically, in the politics of non-violent action, Gene Sharp. Now, Gene Sharp has been the admirer of Mahatma Gandhi. Now, Gene Sharp has provided that why non-violent is actually a very this particular thing is actually very fruitful and can provide much of the benefits. He has said that when a struggle is non-violent, Fine, a non-violent struggle actually reflects the attitudes and activities of the wider population. If the people who are protesting, the people who are demanding some things, they are peaceful, what happens? The sympathy is generated. Not sympathy is generated within the country, sympathy around the world is generated. And because of this sympathy, many of the facilities and supplies are provided to the people who are fighting a cause. And basically Gandhiji's strategy of civil disobedience was actually fought on this particular insight, that you don't do the violence, the entire world will become sympathetic and an entire world will fight for your cause. This particular thing has been provided. Now guys, it is said that, let's say that even when an army is invading on another country, today the Russia is invading on the Ukraine, so even the leaders of invading armies, they need the support of the civilian population for their safety and supplies of their troop. They need the support of civilian population in the country where they have invaded, as well as they need the support of the civil population back at their home also. Clear? Now understand this particular thing. If the country where they have invaded, there the non-violent action is being taken. Clear? What will happen? This particular thing it is having a capability of striking at the availability of the sources of political power. Is it clear? The sources of the political power, the support of the political power who is invading, it will be cut off. So therefore it is provided that we should not follow the path of violence. Actually, when we are following the path of violence, we are weakening ourselves. Okay, we are weakening ourselves. Okay, so only a strong man can go forward with the non violence. Is it clear? Fine, we are, the article says that we weaken ourselves when we do not stand up against violence anywhere. Clear? We weaken ourselves when we don't stand against the violence anywhere, because if you see another person in crisis, other person on whom the atrocities is being committed, and you are not able to take stand, it shows the weakness of your character. Clear? So India right now should not appreciate the people who are committing the violence, rather should keep forward its firm stand, and in this particular direction should condemn the violence. We should not be tempted to take part into the violence. Is it clear? So this is something that has been provided in this particular article. Now that is all about it, and now guys, we'll be moving to the next article. Conflict will worsen, chip shortage, Moody's arm. So guys, if you remember, just a couple of days back, I think day before yesterday, or even the yesterday, there was a text and context article that I have taken, and on the text and the context article also, I have provided that this Russia Ukraine crisis will worsen the chip shortage. Is it clear? Why it will worsen the chip shortage? This the same thing is now being again put up, but into some firm numbers. See, when we talk about the semiconductor chips, these are thumbnail sized chips, okay, which are very much important for the automobiles, electronic devices, computer, mobile phone, tablets. Fine, these semiconductor chips are a critical component of every electronic component. Now already we are seeing the chip shortage starting from 2020, because in 2020 when the lockdown came, number one, the industries which were manufacturing the chip, they were shut down, but at the same time the demand for the chip, it increased, because work from home, online education, demand for computers, entertainment, gaming consoles, it increased. So the demand for chip increased, the supply was not coming because the industries were shut down. So since 2020, the chip shortage, the semiconductor chip shortage has been there. Now this Russia Ukraine crisis has come. So basically, when we talk about the manufacturing of these semiconductor chips, there are two of the critical raw materials that are needed. Number one, the palladium is needed, and second, the neon gas is needed. Now the palladium, the 44% of the global supply of the palladium, it comes from the Russia. And now the western countries are imposing the sanction onto the Russia, that the other countries will not do any trade from Russia. So because of this particular thing, as the palladium supply will be restricted, what will happen? More shortage of the semiconductors will come. Moreover, the Ukraine, 70% of the neon gas which is used into the semiconductor manufacturing is provided by the Ukraine. So now the neon gas will also be into the shortage, and then what will happen at the end of the day? There will be a chip shortage that will come. Now it is, if this particular fighting will go on, this particular thing will become worse. In 2014-15, when the Russian Ukraine war happened, because at this point of time the Crimea was taken by the Russia, so at this particular time also there was the shortage of the semiconductor that came. Now again this particular issue might come, so immediately this particular thing needs to be brought at a standstill, and rather than blindly imposing the sanctions on Russia, more of a long lasting solution should be found out. So this is entire issue that has come. I hope that you have understood it. Fine, this is one a very important economic implication that is going on. Another economic implication, earlier already I had told you that India's current account deficit might also increase because India is importing a lot of crude oil, okay, and as the Russia happens to be a biggest supplier today, because of this war the sanction is imposed, so Russia's supply will go down, and then other countries they will increase the prices, because the crude oil price always depends on to the demand and supply phenomena. Clear? This is the entire issue. Now moving on to the next article. Geopolitical events have added to the challenges for the central banks. Clear? So basically the RBI's chief had observed this particular thing, that around the world the geopolitical challenges are leading to large number of problems with respect to the central banks. So he had provided that first of all, in 2020 the pandemic started. In 2020 the pandemic started. After the pandemic the countries gave the fiscal stimulus. Now this Russia Ukraine war is coming, so these geopolitical events have actually led to a large number of problems. Now if we see the number of economies, particularly the USA, it is facing the multi-decadal high inflation due to supply disruption. Now supply disruption, basically guys, the inflation is the price rise. Now the price rise, it can happen because of many reasons. If there is a large number of money supply that has been made, clear, what will happen? The inflation will increase. Secondly, the inflation can also come if there is a supply side constraints that are there. Clear? If from the back end supply chain the product is not available into the market, obviously the demand will be the same and there will be the inflation that will increase. So today there are the supply side disruptions that had happened. For example, the semiconductor shortage is there, the supply side problem. That there is basically the decoupling that is being carried on to the against the China provides a large number of inputs, supply side problem. So because of these supply side problems, fine, inflation, the economies are fragile. In this particular thing, now the war between the Russia and Ukraine has come. Now the central banks around the world, they are actually facing a very classical kind of problem. Number one, in most of the countries it is found, it is actually seen that the inflation is very much high. Now if you have to control the inflation, what is to be done? Money supply is to be restricted. But if money supply is to be restricted, what will happen? The growth will not come. Right now the growth is also low, inflation is also high. If you control inflation, growth will be compromised. However, if you just focus on to the growth and you just keep on pumping the money, the inflation will become high. How to deal with it? It is a kind of a dilemma that is being seen by the banks around the world. Is it clear? So if they don't do anything, it will be seen that they are doing too little. If they do too much, it will be said that they are killing the growth. So this is a challenge that has come. So that is all guys about this particular article. Fine, I hope that you have understood it. Okay, so that is all for the today's newspaper analysis, and with this we come to an end. Okay, meanwhile there are certain doubts, let's take them also. Good morning sir, should focus more on full length mocks or the subject wise mock test? See, there is no one size fit all policy. What I will suggest, that first of all start from the sectional mock papers. What you can do, let's say you have read your history. After your history, take all the history mock papers of different institutes that are available into the market and solve that history paper. By that, first you will get an idea that how good your preparation was on history, and secondly, while you are answering these particular mock papers, you will get some additional content, some additional points, find some problem, some kind of fallacies that you were having, they will get cleared while you do these particular mock test. Fine. So first you need to do read history, solve the history mock papers, do geography, solve the geography papers, polity, solve the polity papers. Once you do this particular thing, and once your all the subjects are completed, then focus on the full length mock papers. This is the approach that I feel will be good. You can follow it. Okay Lakshmi, I hope this is clear. Then the Divya says, sir please do analysis on Sunday also sir, it will be more helpful. See Divya, there are one two things that I want to talk here. Earlier also I have said this particular thing. See, on Sundays we don't have editorial, okay, and in Sundays the FAQ section that comes, it is mainly containing all the things that have happened into the past. So FAQ is containing the events that have happened already. It is a recap kind of a thing. Clear? So this is other thing. However, if some big important articles are there, fine, we don't need to do the day wise coverage, we have to do the issue based coverage for the UPSC. And the second thing is that, see, basically there is a one more personal kind of a reason. I always believe in the quality over the quantity. Clear? So the quality is the concern here. Now I actually having a kind of a very packed up schedule, because being a full time teacher, fine, I have to work on certain contents which I will deliver you for the entire coming week. Clear? So for my personal reading, I need to keep a slot free, otherwise I will not be able to give you a quality content. Is it clear? So this particular thing, because of this particular thing, I take a Sunday as a kind of a break where I work on many number of things so that I can give you throughout the week. Is it clear? So this is something that is the thing. However, I will think on this particular thing again. Okay, I will think on it also. Okay, so this is all about this particular issue. Fine. So that is all for today. Fine. And with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Okay.